All right, wonderful. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you today. It's crazy how big Practical Cartography Day has gotten. I don't know how many of the rest of you feel that way. Like, still kind of remembered it as being this intimate little room where they were just like everyone was on their laptop. But that was still the picture in my mind when we were rehearsing this talk. So I want to give everyone a sec. If you have your laptop open, go ahead and load this URL. We'd love to have you follow along and grab some of the links from our presentation. http://sta.mn/7b9. Totally caught your side eye. Kelsey's giving me side eye for reading out. Reading out URLs, but y'all are with me. All right, great. I'm Stephanie May. Thanks so much for the introduction, Brooke, just a minute ago. We're excited to introduce you to a tool that we've been using for a couple of years internally at Stamen called Figmasset. So by way of introduction, let me ask you, raise of hands, how many of you have made a map icon before? Okay. What's hard about it? Any volunteers from the audience? Okay, I see a motion like this. They're very small. What else is hard about it? Hand, shout it right out. It's often a lot of steps between different software. Excellent answer. If I were to sum up what's really hard about it, it's that you want to be able to make these iterations, like small iterations. You want to be able to see the icon that you're creating in context on the map, but you need an interface like Illustrator or something like that that's going to allow you to make the small, fine adjustments that you need to make. And it's really hard to get set up in a way to be able to do those iterations quickly enough that you can be effective and have a really solid workflow. That is what Figmasset solves. Wait, how did we advance 2 slides? Oh, sorry. One other question that we just need to get out of the way about the pronunciation. Internal to Stamen, there's a pretty solid debate going about whether it's Figmasset or Figmasset. And Kelsey and I are just going to go strong Team Figmasset right now. It's not Figmasset. It's Figma plus asset, but it's Figmasset. Okay, just to get that squarely out of once settled once and for all. Okay, with that, I'm going to hand this over to my colleague, Kelsey Taylor. Thank you for helping me answer the question of what's hard about icons. It's the iteration that's hard. She's going to walk you through an interactive exercise. If you have a Figma account, please go ahead and log in right now. I think that may be required in order to be able to really mess with our demo adequately. She's gonna, but you can keep messing with it after this. Tweet at us, at Stamen, if you do something interesting with it. And then she's gonna toss you into Observable to play around with this. And then she's gonna walk you through. She's gonna tell you a little bit more about how we use this as the core of our workflow for production cartography around map assets. All right. With that, I'll hand it over to Kelsey.
Thank you. So just to talk through some more problems with iterating on map icons without this tool that we're about to show you. Doing everything manually, exporting and importing to get your icons to show up on your map. Generating sprite sheets. So we work a lot with the Mapbox style spec and Mapbox style sheets and sprite sheets. So specific formats that you need that can be hard to get right if you haven't done it before. Separate steps to publish icons to wherever you want to host them. Workarounds to try work in progress icons and not have them overwrite what you have on production. And then if you don't have something set up, having like a bespoke script for each project to generate sprites with updated icons. It's a lot of little hairy details that make this really hard to do. And that's where Figmasset came from. As you'll see in a second with this demo, you're able to quickly iterate on icon designs, design and publish with one workflow. If you want to see those updated sprite sheets on your map, you can make that happen pretty easily. You can create one or more sprite sheets that work with the Mapbox spec, because that's set up as part of this too. And then you can share your assets with people who don't have access to Figma or GitHub or Mapbox, just with the URL. So if you're following the slides on your end, you can just click with these two links. But we're going to go through two demos. The first one is that first link, and you'll also need the Figma doc to do that. So we'll get started here. Stephanie mentioned we made this observable notebook, so if you want to try it out on your end, you can fork it after this and set up Figmasset with whatever icons and sprite style sheet you want to use. So you'll see here at the top, oh gosh, hold on, that we're using a drop-down, and I think it's set up to use the demo frame. So frames are a Figma concept. It's kind of like a layer in Illustrator where you put all of your assets in one place so you can easily turn them on and off. And so I'll show you in a second in the Figma doc that we have 3 frames set up that are hooked up to our Figmasset example here. Demo is the one we're using. There are a couple others with nicer looking icons, but we're going to encourage anyone who wants to participate to edit the demo icons in the editable tab. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So we could do that, and then you'll see these icons show up on our map. So if I change from demo to rounded, this is another frame. It'll take a second, but these different icons just show up on our map, which is great. If I show you the Figma example, I see some people in it, which I'm very happy about. All right, let's see. Sorry, 1 second. All right, come on. There we go. Okay. So I see people in our Figma doc. That's awesome. So I see someone already has been editing these icons here at the bottom. Thank you for participating. So we've got these 4 different icons here that are hooked up to Figmasset in this example. And you'll see people have been changing the colors. So if we go, oh my gosh, it's really hard to use a mouse on another screen. If we go back to this observable notebook where demo is the frame that we're using, and I refresh, you should see the updated icons that people have been using. Really glad that worked. But yeah, so you can quickly iterate on your icons like this if you're trying to get the size or the color or the shape right. And it's been really useful for us with our workflows. All right. I'm gonna keep going here. The other example we have is sprite sheets. So I mentioned sprite sheets before because we use Mapbox quite a bit. I'm gonna show you this pre-recorded demo. No demo demons today, hopefully. All right, so in this example, like I said, we're gonna publish a sprite sheet that we can use in our Mapbox map. We're using the same file as before, back in Figma, for that live reload demo. And I have 2 pages set up, like I said, editable and published, with the different frames for each one. And we're gonna work in the editable page, not on the demo, but I think on a different one. You'll see. We also have set up a GitHub repository, so we use GitHub a ton to collaborate at Stamen. And you can see here it's set up with 3 files or 3 items. We've got the GitHub workflow, which is how we use Figmasset in GitHub. We've got a README so you know what's going on in this repo, which is public, and you can fork if you want to try it for yourself. And we have a style sheet toner. And then you'll see in a second that I've cloned this repo locally for myself so I can work with it and interact and push changes up to a branch. If we can get there in this timed demo, maybe. There we go. Okay, so I cloned it locally and made a branch called demo for this example. And then we can open the style sheet, which is toner.json, and see the sprite URL there references the main branch on my that we pushed up to S3, which is where we're hosting these icons. If you change, hold on 1 second, talking to myself. We can change something in that URL to point to a different sprite sheet that we published using Figmasset. So if we're back in Figma, I want to edit this square this set of square icons, and I'm making them smaller using a plugin in Figma. And then if I go back to GitHub, I have this all set up with Figmasset, so I can publish using this GitHub action to my branch. The demo is the branch I'm working on. You don't really need to know how to code to do this, which is nice for people who don't know how to code. And we also have a handy little URL where you can see the sprite sheet, because we're using S3 and it's hosted with CloudFront, so we're able to access it from anywhere. And you'll see I've just published, so these should get a little bit smaller. Wow, the timing was good. Which is the change that we made in Figma, so this is great. And now I want to see it on my map. We also have that's the style sheet URL, which we can open in an editor like Mapbox. And you'll see here that the icons have not changed yet because I didn't change the URL yet in my style sheet, but I can go back and do that. So now it uses demo, which is the branch I published to. And if we go back to Mapbox and open it again, you'll see my icons are smaller. So you can iterate without overwriting your published sprite sheet. Unless you want to, when you're done and you've made all your changes, then you can publish to the main branch here. So your icons end up on the production version of your map. And that's it. Thank you.